This video includes collection instructions for the HTMA. That stands for Hair Tissue Mineral Analysis. HTMA test, we call it for short. And believe it or not, your hair tells a lot about you, just like your saliva, your blood, your stool, urine. You can tell lots from what's going on in your body using a hair sample. Specifically, in this case, minerals, good and kind of not so good, as well as some toxic metals. Numerous body processes are dependent upon proper nutrition mineral levels, so this test is going to give us a good insight into what your patterns look like, where you're deficient, where you maybe have an excess, or where minerals maybe should not be in your system. All right, so let's take a look at the kit. It's more like a trifold brochure, but you're going to open that up, and you'll see within the small pocket there, you have a couple pieces of paper. You have a scale, and you have an envelope. So you can go ahead and fill out the first page, as well as the inside section. More about this in a second. So let's take a look at the order form. So part 1 should already be filled out for you. Has my information on there. Your part to fill out will be part 2. It says patient information. So fill out your name, first and last name, age, height, weight, gender, occupation, pregnant, yes or no, and color of hair. We'll talk about this section more here in a second on the type of specimen. And part 3 should be checked as profile 1. And part 4 says do not send supplements. That's all on the first page. So on the inside portion in part 5, we have a long list of ailments, sicknesses, illnesses. If you want to go ahead and mark anything that pertains to you, that would be fine. Just put a check mark in the box. And the section down here should have my signature and date. So go ahead and flip over to the instructions for hair sampling. I'm going to go through these with you in detail. It's very simple to do, but we'll go through each line so you make sure everything's just right. Want to make sure we have a good sample here for you. The top here says we need to follow the instructions properly to get a good sample. So first one, number 1 here, sampling. Hair should be clean and dry when it's being sampled. The sample should be taken between 4 and 24 hours after washing. So don't just wash your hair and take an immediate sample, but don't wait 2 days before you take your sample. So somewhere in between. And for the best quality results, the sample should not be dyed, bleached, or permed. So you need to get a sample of your natural hair. Now, if your hair is color treated, it doesn't mean you cannot take the sample. You just want to make sure you wait 4 to 6 weeks after your last treatment and have washed your hair 10 times. And just to reiterate, you want to only shampoo your hair. Do not condition it. Don't put any leave-in conditioner in there. Don't use any kind of products, so no gel or mousse or hairspray or pomade or a sculpting clay. Nothing in there at all. Just clean, shampooed hair. A note here too, retest samples should be taken from the same area as the original sample if at all possible. So we're trying to keep things consistent as you take one test to the other to the other. All right, so sampling location. Head hair taken from the nape of the neck, see illustration below, will provide you with the best sample. The growth of the hair here is relatively steady and should give good, consistent results. Look at the picture here of this gentleman. We have the nape of the neck is this area here. But if you don't have very much hair in the back of the head, either you just don't have hair or it's really short, as an option you can use axillary hair, pubic hair, or other body hair. So axillary hair, again, is your armpit hair. So if you have that, of course, pubic hair. And then if you have hair elsewhere, if you have enough of that to meet the requirements, you can use that. Some people may need to let some hair grow out for a little bit. That's fine too. Just make sure you're picking from those places. And don't forget to go back to the order form once you decide what type of specimen you're taking. If it's head hair, pubic hair, or other hair, make sure to come here and check that box. I will say that head hair is best. So if at all possible, you take the sample from head hair. If you have some questions on where you're taking the sample from, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. All right, so far you've planned it out timing-wise. You've washed your hair. Keep product out of it. Don't put anything in there. Just nice, clean hair that's been shampooed. You know where you're going to take the sample from. So if you're taking it from around your body, you can probably do that at home. And if you choose to do the hair on your head, certainly can take the sample at home, especially if you have somebody around that's comfortable with a pair of scissors. It's not that hard to do. Or if you're local, we could take the sample for you in our office. Otherwise, you want to go to your barber or your hairstylist to help you out with this. So it will be a good idea to show them these instructions and go through it with them to make sure they're doing the sample correctly. So it says equipment needed: a standard rat-tail comb and regular stainless steel scissors are all that is basically needed. For short hair, thinning shears may be used to keep from disturbing the hairstyle as much as possible. That works pretty well for a lot of guys when you have shorter hair in the back. For long hair, for you ladies or guys with longer hair, a hairpin or clip may be useful. So as you can see in this picture over here, hair is kind of pulled up and the sample is coming from here in the nape of the neck. So cutting a sample: comb and lift a section of the hair at the nape of the neck, either pin or clip the section, or have the patient hold it up out of the way. So the actual sample is going to be around 1 inch or 1.5 inches in length, and you want to choose hair closest to the scalp. So it says for shorter hair, 1.5 inches in length or less, use the entire sample. So your hair doesn't have to be 1.5 inches long in the back, it can be shorter. You just want to make sure you use that entire sample if it is shorter than 1.5 inches. For long hair, over 1.5 inches in length, cut off and use 1 inch to 1.5 inches of hair at the end that's shown next to the scalp, the root end, as shown in photo B. Here's photo B down here. So take that sample and then about 1.5 inches, cut that's closest to the scalp. Now I'm not too crazy about the picture they show here because you can see they're cutting a wide band of hair. My preference would be that you cut maybe 6 or 8 smaller bands of hair. This will help assure an accurate representative sample on the average while leaving no noticeable bald places in the hairstyle. It's always a nice thing. So how do you know when you have enough hair? So that's how we're going to look at this number 5 here, weighing the samples. So set up the provided card weight scale, following the instructions printed on it. Placing the small samples inside the circle on the card, continue sampling until the scale tips, indicating that there's approximately 125 milligrams in the total sample. This should be about 1 heaping tablespoon. So it's really not a lot of hair. So once an adequate sample is accumulated, put the hair into the provided sampling envelope and enclose it in the completed order form in the attached order envelope. And be sure to fill out the small envelope before you put it into the larger envelope. So a few places to fill out here. You have the lab number. If this is the first HTMA sample you've done with me, you're going to leave this section blank. If it's not your first one, second or third or further on, you want to put the lab number that's assigned to the last test that you ran. Also fill out the patient information, put your name here, and sex and age. And that's all for that one. So look for the perforation on the envelope. Take your completed order form, fold it up in thirds. That should fit in there real nicely. No need to enclose any kind of payment. This is a prepaid lab. Take your hair sample, put it in there too. Moisten the seal. Seal that up. Put your return address, a single stamp, and put it in the mailbox. And in no time, we'll have some test results back to review. And if you have any questions during this sampling process, you know how to reach us.